Welcome, everybody, to our third meeting in the time of our module 3. In the following, you see the recording, but I forgot in the beginning to switch on the recording. And so I put now this little pre-word here and put it before we jump into the recording. There's a little hard break. It just jumping into Stefan's training beginning. I spoke in the beginning of this meeting from today about this, how we feel with this meeting and how we feel about the exercises, and that everybody should feel free, even in these silent moments when we ask a question in this virtual meeting, and the silent moments that we not feel in any case not good, that we not are speaking immediately. So I wanted to say that I will give there just a space of the silence, and then we will sense how it can get continued. So this is one, and I spoke then about this, what I got from some other participants who can't join for this evening. And so that was what we had before. I gave it to Stefan, that he can go with his little training input. Enjoy. Danke.
Shake your lower arms, shoulders. Oh. Shake your pelvis. Oh, and your legs. Oh, everything's vibrating right now. Your feet, your head. Make some stupid sounds. You get warmer and warmer. You can even jump a little bit. Every cell is vibrating. And form a chi ball in your hands, collecting all the waste of your cells between your hands. Keep on shaking, open every cell. All material you don't want is transported between your hands. And straighten index fingers, release all the waste above your head. You're empty. Take some clear, cool air from above. 3 times, just invite clarity. Fulfill yourself with fresh, clear air. And the same movement to the ground. Invite warmth and energy from below. Very good. Now I ask you very quickly to move with the feeling, I exist. I exist. What a joy to exist. My existence. You're moving for yourself. You're not doing this for anybody, for any purpose, just for yourself. Water is my existence. 75% of me is water. Water is my existence. The whole body is transformed, not only the arms. You're not acting, you are. Air is my existence. My bones are filled with air. My blood is filled with air. Air. Air is my existence. I'm not acting. I am. Solid ground is my existence. I'm focused and grounded. Solid ground. Center. Warmth is my existence. I'm producing warmth, radiating to the whole space. Warmth and even little flames, impulses, fire, as you like. Fire is my existence. And this quick draw with I exist. I exist. All four have part of me. I exist. And they are part of me, the four elements. Now we step to the image of the earth. Yesterday, I'm gonna show you, we had the image of earth being the ground, right? We try to, you could say, become a symbol of the element, earth. What could be a symbol of warmth? In fact, myself. So if you come to yourself, you have the symbol of warmth. This is what I'm producing. I'm producing warmth. Even a very cold-minded, cold-blooded person produces warmth all the time. Physical warmth. So this is my symbol of warmth. What could be the symbol of air? Give me your symbol of air. Yeah, sure. If it's not a movement, but a statue, a posture, I would go out air. And from there, we develop the thought of water just being the horizon between heaviness and lightness. This should be my symbol of water. Now we're not moving, Sophia, we try to become an image, which in a way doesn't feel as artistic as we were before, but let's become just a film still, an image. I'm a form. This should be the form of water. Can we go to the earth? This is the form of earth. This is the form of warmth. This is the form of air. This is the form of water. Balance between heavy and lightness. And we go quickly from one to the other. This is water. Now earth, go there, like ballet training. Warmth, go there. Air, tuck. Water, bam. This is like, in a way, like in etude, staccato. We go staccato from one to the other. Sophia, can you hear me? Sophia, you're still in the process, and I went to the just posture. We're just forming a posture and no movement. It's not free moving, but it's just being a symbol, symbol, yeah? So we do it again, staccato, we start with water. Water, boom. Earth, boom. Warmth, boom. Air, boom. 4 states, no way in between. Again, water, earth, warmth, air, water, earth, warmth, air. We can try to have the quality, even if it's quick, so I give you a bit more time, that we get a grasp of the quality, but still staccato quick. Water, earth, warmth, air, water, earth, warmth, air. Very good. We could say the quality we are moving in staccato is earthly, because we only work with a form. This was what Sophia felt. No, this is kind of funny. It's only form, form, form. Now we take the next step and add the water quality to what we are doing. Meaning I don't stay in a form, but the form transforms. Water transforms to earth. Earth transforms to warmth, okay? I'll show you once we do it together.
Stefan, how are the legs? We can see the legs.
Yeah,
Are they together or like?
Basically, we're standing right now. The legs are just closed. So it's most the torso and the arms working. Starting with water, now we get into the watery process of letting go and floating to the next, which would be earth. Floating to the next, which would be warmth. Floating to the next, which would be air. And then going again to water. Now the movement is constantly flowing into the earth, into the warmth, into the air. I can't stop it. There's no earth quality in the points, in the 4 points, but it's constantly moving. This is how day and night or summer and winter move, constantly flowing. To end our little session, we imagine, Jörg, just one second. This is summer. Now we have going down to 4. Now we're going to the winter quality, earth. Now it's going over the spring to summer. Or you can say this is day, afternoon, sun's going down, night, constant change, constant flow. 3 o'clock in the morning and the light goes out again. Thank you. Very good. This is really, thank you. It's tempting when it's so quick, but as we continue each day, we will repeat things and it might become, we might become more used to it. Any questions?
Just to say thank you. That was very, very nice.
Okay.
Thank you, Stefan. And we look forward to see the next step tomorrow. And maybe it's nice that we have that more or less in the beginning of our sessions. We swap now, and maybe we swap, I don't know, maybe we swap to that exchange things. How do you feel in these times? Not after this exercise, no, but what is your situation? How do you relate yourself to all these circumstances, or what happens to you if there is the possibility that you feel open to speak about that. When you would like to speak, you have to switch on your microphone. I switched them all off.
Perhaps I start. Can I start, Jörg?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hello to everybody. Because I didn't speak to you yesterday and the day before, I just went quickly in and out because I do a lot of Zoom sessions at the moment, and I have to be careful not to do it too much. But today I'm fine. I would like to tell you two short things. I think most important is, I think we are in a great, great time. Of course, you know. Sometimes I'm in the beginning, so 3-4 weeks ago, I was very afraid. I felt like my willpower, my head thinks, my head is thinking all the time, what do I have to do? Because I felt really strong challenge out of this Corona crisis. But now it has changed, and I think there is a change. But what is still my my topic, my thing, what I'm dealing with is how to create a between space, a space between polarities. Because what I'm recognizing is that very, very easily things show themselves in their not heart-centered polarity, which makes life which makes everything very hard. But each tendency to exaggerate, to come out, always is a chance to be released, to be erlöst. What is erlöst? Erlöst, like in fairy tale, yeah, when there is a strange thing, and or die Hexe. What is Hexe? Well,
Wait.
there is nothing evil, but when the evil shows very strong, it tells, please help me to be myself again. So I was, one little thing was in radio, I heard a politician scientist, and she was telling about there is a problem with justice, the totalitarian regimes in Poland and Hungary and so. But on the other hand, there is a movement out of the people, yeah, from there. And this is very interesting, and this is also telling me, yes, there has to be a change. Yeah, it is an offer. And today I had a very strange experience, but this I will tell you tomorrow. Because I should not take too much time. So today I will see, and perhaps tomorrow I give an input, because today the time is running. But I now spoke a little bit more because yesterday and the day before I was so silent, and I'm very glad to see you again and to step in this really, really specific work. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Christiane. I think that it's to understand how this polarity exists, especially when one is more interested in the way to understand what is going on. Okay, someone else? So I don't want go to the names and say, oh, you haven't said anything. So I would like to leave it really open so that there is no pressure. And we can take a little bit moment silent if anybody would like to say anything.
I can go next. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have too many microphones here. It was not working. For me, the situation also came in very practical manifestations. Yesterday I moved apartment for the third time in the last month. But this time it will stick, I hope. So it was very intense days, and now it's very nice to be in a more or less solid and nice apartment. And I also had to move away from the village I was staying in. So that was a big transition. I don't live so far, but still not in the same place where I work and where most of my friends are. And in terms of work, half of my work I couldn't do anymore. I mostly teach music privately or do groups for people in some disabled mentally situations and so on. So the groups I couldn't do anymore, and I only taught privately. So I'm in the middle, which is quite good actually in these times. Not very bad, not very good. And it was not so much felt in the village, the whole coronavirus atmosphere. So on one hand, it was still quite nice, no police or things like this inside the village, or very strict restrictions. But on the other hand, one could feel really the atmosphere of the whole situation around him all the time, which is not the most pleasant. But slowly in the last week, gradually, all the restrictions in Israel are being put aside. So in the last days, even malls and places like this were opened. I think the only thing not opened is restaurants. Like you still cannot go to a cafe or restaurants and be around a lot of people eating in the same room. But other than this, I think most things are open, and hopefully some of my jobs will come back soon. And so all in all, it was very intense time with the apartment moving and some social dramas, good and bad, that decided to come in this intense time as well. Today, because yesterday I moved, I am a little bit settled here, then I feel much more grounded and that I can actually participate in the Zoom meeting, which is not so easy to begin with. So I'm very happy to actually be more with you today than the last 2 days. And for me, because it's such a complex situation with so little that I can feel is very solidly and concretely known, I will leave my higher philosophies for a physical encounter.
Okay.
So that's more or less the situation for me in these times.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, then I think we could ask a question tomorrow again to these people who will be there then, and if anybody would like to add something, then it's also there'll be a time for that, so that we have it every day, a bit that you can speak, or if there's any change, and to see that. How
I've got something to add to what Offa said, perhaps, if now's a good time. I think the whole coronavirus thing kind of rings home the idea that our existence is stable and continuous is an illusion. I've been going through separation from my wife, which culminated in January when I moved out of the house, bought another house very close by. So I went through a long process of coming to terms with something that I hoped or felt was permanent. I think a sense of permanence. Coming to terms with the fact that permanence doesn't really exist, and that we're all in a constant state of flux in a way. And I think what's a lot of, so in a way that the lockdown from coronavirus kind of brought more intensity to the separation, to the sense of isolation and rupture, but also in a way helped me to understand that nothing is permanent. Just as on a societal level, what makes us afraid is the loss of permanence, but our actual state is constant flux. Yeah. So for me, accepting that on a personal level makes this wider societal struggle easier for me on an existential level.
Ja.
Das ist all.
At least very deep and, let's say, good experience to experience really that nothing is permanent, that as we say sometimes with humor, the only constant thing is a change, yeah. And but we have now here on many fields, many directions, this question, not only in one personal situation. It is also in the society, it is in the science, it is in the politics, it is everywhere. One can sense that something is needed to find a way to make a different choice, go another way, that there is a change. And there are, of course, also some strugglings. I think there's a big, deep fight, and just the fight between these both forces, Christiana and both tendencies. Christiana was also characterizing on one hand, and there's something is going on, what we all sense and what we all start to understand with our mind, with our thinking. And in the end, we will see what comes out and how the powers go. Maybe we come also in this week to some points to understand this struggling of forces which are always there. On one hand is a tendency to make everything permanent and would like to have it as it was. And on the other hand, there's a power of changing everything, radical. And I like that. And it has to do with your situation to find a way through it. In this way, we have touched the theme of balance. So that's the most difficult thing, to have any kind of balance. Yeah. And yeah, so that's very interesting. Thank you very much, Ben.
I found today a text, like a short paragraph that I thought was very relevant to this. It really struck me personally when I was thinking about the situation and the corona pandemic and how to think about what's the place in it. And I'm wondering if I could share it now, or if there's a better way to share it.
No, share it now. When you have the feeling it fits now, then just now.
Sure. Do you want to see the text, or maybe I just read it?
Yeah, I can give it free for you.
Okay. Do you know this book, Invisible Cities, by Italo Calvino? It's a beautiful meditation on cities, very poetic. And the frame is that Marco Polo from Venice has visited Kublai Khan in China, and Kublai Khan asked him to go visit his cities and tell him about his empire. And I found in this one of the things that in the discussions that they have. So this is just toward the end of the book, and Kublai Khan says, "It is all useless. If the last landing place can only be the infernal city, and it is there that, in ever narrowing circles, the current is drawing us." And Polo said, "The inferno of the living is not something that will be. If there is one, it is what is already here. The inferno where we live every day, that we form by being together. There are two ways to escape suffering it. The first is easy for many. Accept the inferno and become such a part of it that you can no longer see it. The second is risky and demands constant vigilance and apprehension. Seek and learn to recognize who and what in the midst of the inferno are not inferno. Then make them endure. Give them space."
Wow, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jacob.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Jacob. So we have to think, what is that space? Even individual, to find out. Yeah. Christiane, you said that we will go tomorrow to something what you would like to bring in. Yeah, is that right?
I can also today, but I'm not the master of time. So, and you have to say, I can do it also tomorrow.
So then I would say just do it tomorrow. Yeah, that's very nice. Thank you. Good. And Alina, have you prepared a little movement?
So I can do it with the 6 directions, I thought. Maybe.
Yeah, then do it for us, with us, of course, so that we get up a moment from the chairs and
Yeah.
have another physical situation.
Do you have a little bit space around you? I hope.
Everybody will find. Everybody will find.
So maybe just a little bit in the center, yeah? Do you have it still? Are you still on? So I would like to do with you the 6 directions. So we do one time all the 6 direction slowly, or how to say it, legato, and then staccato. So we start with the left side. And with a stream of golden light, yeah? And to the right. And down. And up. And forward. And to the back. So, and one more time, and maybe you can feel also that it is really in your space. So you can just, how to say, to put away the screen, yes? It's your space and you do it in your space and it fills your space with light. So we do one more time staccato, so a little bit more quickly. So to the left. And it stays there, the light. To the right. And down. And up. And forward. And to the back. Can you feel all the 6 directions around you? Yes, so that you feel, yeah, I'm radiating. I'm there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Alina. Maybe even such little sparks of a little bit of fire can give you the lust to do some training every moment when you feel a little bit tired. Just, okay, I do something. Yeah, have fun, have joy. Okay, thank you very much, Alina. Darren, it's your time now. We go to the reading of another lecture, what we have for today.
Now I'm on. We must find the meaning of this table. March the 28th, 1938. Just prior to this lesson, Chekhov warned the students that due to the threat of war, their souls risked becoming dry, abstract, and schematic. An artist cannot be a materialist, cannot be, must not be, because the materialistic kind of thinking, feeling, and willing, doing, speaking, this is the easiest way to live in our age. But This is the rude means by which we kill the artistic desires, emotions, and powers which are living inside us. Therefore, we came together because each one of us feels that he is somewhere an artist, and at the same time killing oneself by living a materialistic life in one's thoughts and everything. Of course, you will contradict this opinion and argue that you cannot be ordered not to be materialistic, to have spiritual interests and ideas and so on. That is true. And I do not mean that by tomorrow we must all be spiritual, thinking, doing, and living persons. This is the question of the whole life. One comes to this spiritual understanding early, another later, and another never. But in the frames of our art, there are means to penetrate into this plane or level, which is similar to this spiritual life. And this is what we have spoken so often about, but we have not yet got. First, we must work if we want to be artists in the sense I mean. We must be able to penetrate behind all the things simply as professional people. What does it mean? If we have a table before us on the stage, if we consider it only as a table, then we are not yet artists. We must find the meaning of this table, why the table is here on stage at this moment, and how have I to act with this table. Whether it means when I am sitting before it, I am sitting before a tomb. For an artist, it can be a tomb, while for the materialist, this idea can only be funny. For an artist, it can be the idea of a tomb. And this is the first step to the depth of the idea of the table. Perhaps I'm sitting before this table as if it is a wedding table. I have to find the idea of this table, to experience it, to live it, to perform the table. If I'm sitting on a chair, perhaps it is the electric chair where I will meet my death. The artist must know what he is doing by sitting on the chair. Perhaps it is a throne, not because I perform the part of a king, but because in every part, each chair can be for 2 minutes a throne, then an electric chair, and then something from which I have to fall down. We must make such absurd and purely actors' efforts to penetrate into everything and to create some life behind things. I take quite purposely this very rude example of chair and table to show that even simple and rude or unusual things must be symbols. This is the symbol for a certain life, for a certain event, for a certain deep level by which I, as an actor, can find the approach to everything. Now, if we leave this level of usual things and take simply our human gestures, then we will see that each gesture is the human soul. This is the way to awaken something in us, which will substitute the spiritual understanding and feeling of the world for the human being as such. For an artist, it is to create things behind things. If I look at somebody, it must be full of things which are behind my glance, radiation, atmosphere, etc. And that's why we have our method of radiation, to convey this depth and width, scope and height. In the human gesture lives the human soul, and the gesture will never belie the audience. If you make an empty gesture, the audience will never criticize you because the audience is sitting sleeping. But it will feel that the person on the stage is fooling it, showing it empty gestures, empty voice, empty words, empty breath. Now, if we go still higher, we will see the enormous world of depth and height which stands behind each character. I do not mean only Shakespeare's characters, the majority of which are already given as archetypes. But if it is not given as archetypes, the artist must see, desire, and dream of finding an archetype behind the character he is going to perform. For example, the old King Lear. Behind each word lies something, not just old. This does not mean white beard, gloomy glance, and feeble walk old. Old that means everything behind him. This is a great experience. Imagine that it means everything behind him. It is an experience which can give a real artist the whole spirit of the tragedy. Old, that means wisdom. Wisdom which lies everywhere and penetrates everywhere and radiates from everywhere and is clear and shining. There is no limit in trying to describe these things, although they must be indescribable. Old, that means to be before something. It is not to be described, it is to be felt. The old person stands before something on the street. Old faces, old eyes. You will ask, what is the characteristic in these faces? They are standing before something. Is it death? Perhaps it is the revelation which will be given in the last hour of life. It is quite unconscious and slipping into the libido, into non-existence. Old. It means to disappear, leaving nothing behind. Tragic, stately power. Everything lies in this archetypal old king. Not the king who sits on the throne in this or that country, but the king as a certain kind of human being who is wiser, more powerful, an old father. That means he gives something. He meets himself in his child. There are unlimited possibilities for penetrating into all possible things. For an artist, there is nothing in the whole world which is meaningless, senseless, which has nothing behind it. It is the spiritual aura which we have used. If we're trying to act Romeo and we are materialistically minded, we can act only these movements, these words, and try to create materialistically. And this will never be done. It will only be a boy, and perhaps not the most interesting one. The whole Romeo idea, the Romeo archetype, will be lost. I have noticed that because we are blind to this world of the archetype, we are not able to discover the flame which is in us. We are all born as human beings, and we must not consider ourselves as especially unhappy people who have no fire. We have it, but the fire must be discovered by trying to imagine and penetrate into spiritual things. Imagine an aura around everything, every part, every scene, every play. The fire is there, therefore I speak.
Okay. Do you like this nice little lectures from Chekhov? I think they are really fantastic, and they have made also a very nice choice when they brought them into the book, because there is something around this full lecture. It's a part of it, but it's very good that we have that now published. Yeah, what was it about? Maybe you think a little bit about it, and maybe you find something what echoes in you, or you find something you have to ask the others for understanding.
I think that idea of thinking around the world, the word old, and the idea of all that experience being carried behind, and all the different ways that you can engage your imagination in that word old is very helpful in I guess accessing a deeper part of your imagination. I think you're also thinking about directing and directing younger actors when you're speaking to them and you're describing this character as old, and understanding that their assumption of what that is could be potentially quite limited. And then the importance of opening up that for somebody, I think. The thing I didn't get was he meets himself in his child. I didn't really understand that. Darren.
Oh.
Or anyone. I'll open that to the room. It is.
He speaks about the King Lear, and whom does King Lear meet?
Yes, and also, sorry, Jörg, if I'm interrupting you, tell me to stop.
No, that's simply I wanted to say.
He takes one example of many and says, an old father. That means he gives something. He meets himself in his child. And you're a father, I'm a father. I don't know how many people here have children, but that's something, my son's 15 now, and so I'm constantly meeting myself in him in a very amazing way. And I'm also meeting my father in him, and the whole sort of thing is feeding back in on itself, you know. So I want to give him the gift of something that I remember I needed, and blah blah. Yeah. So I think in that context, it's the wisdom of having been there before. I don't know, that's just my feeling.
Yeah.
Or I guess, I don't want to tread on anyone's toes, but I guess it's a quality of being old is that you can meet yourself in a way that you can't in other aspects. You know, because it's only once you have a lot of yourself behind you, like a baby can't really meet itself, or even like a 10-year-old sort of can't really meet itself. I mean, but then I suppose you can meet yourself in many different ways as you grow older, and one of them being, I guess, the older you get and the older your child is, the more you can meet yourself in the child as well, I guess. Because I feel like, I don't know, the specific thing of King Lear, he's confronted with an aspect of himself which he's never acknowledged and doesn't like, maybe.
Ophir, you wanted to add something?
Me? No.
Okay.
I was, yeah, Matthias.
Go ahead, Christiane.
It just, I mean, I have many thoughts about it, but I think it's just interesting. It's not he gives away and he gets back. There is a transition. He gives something and then he is meeting something. And there is for me, I was puzzled about this 0 point, which is in between. Because this is because perhaps it is because you can't say this is not. It's a bad idea. I give something to the child, and then I want to have something back. This is not possible. Yeah, it's not one-to-one. And the great idea about this, I have problems, or many people have problems with this Godfather. Yeah. But if I think Godfather is just the energy which is transformed into the physical world, or yeah, but he wants to meet himself in us. I'm talking.
Yeah, Matthias.
I love the idea of seeing beyond everything, but I also did not really understand this concept of the archetype of old king is before something. Maybe it's a stereotype, but I would say after something. So that's after, that's what I would put behind me in my atmosphere if I wanted to approach this archetype. So I don't really understand before what. That's a question.
I understood that.
Anybody has a thought to that?
Yeah, I can. I think. I had a thought of that because I similarly found that a bit confusing that he was talking about it in that way. But then I realized that, well, for me, I think that what he's saying there is that, so the first archetype we take of old, archetypical oldness, what it means is that there is so much behind, that like so much has been experienced through age, and that's what old means. But then to kind of really, but then to also understand that it doesn't just mean behind. It also means that there is something before. Like we can focus when we think of old, and yeah, it is a sort in an archetypal way. We can think it suggests of everything that is past, but of course, old people are alive. I mean, they still have things that they are before, even if it is just death. That's then, so it's important to, so he's reminding us, of the humanity of, of the humanity of King Lear, which is that he is like, and that he isn't just someone who has everything behind him. There's also something, even if it's small, there's something before him as well, is what I understood by this.
Can I? Or shall we wait a little bit?
Go.
I think we touched now 2 points. One is the point of polarity I mentioned, and also one is the point of this permeable thing Ben was talking about. Yeah, there is a change now. I think we all get more transparent. Yeah. If you think of life and death as a polarity, then it falls apart. But if you think of death being a trick of life to have more life, then you come to the idea of real life, I think. And this is including resurrection, yeah, somehow. But I think the most simple thing is what Chekhov says in the beginning is materialistic thinking is difficult to be artistic. And the idea that we only have, so we have the tendency to think we come somewhere and then it's the end. But I think Chekhov had the idea that life is going on in karma, what is the English word? Sag mal. Reincarnation, yeah, that's it. Yeah, reincarnation. And also, if you think of human being as a spiritual being, the spirit can't die. So if you go out of spiritual world, you die for the spiritual world. But then if you die in physical world, you will be born in spiritual world. So you have something before you. If you die in physical world, you can enjoy. You will see the other side again. So it's just turning points.
Can I say something? Then I didn't understand this. When it says old, it means to disappear, leaving nothing behind. Well, I understand it kind of goes back to the earth, and then it just gets into something new. But I don't really understand that with what you were just saying now, basically. Old, it means to disappear, leaving nothing behind. Like no earth, no body in a way, or yeah.
I could imagine that he's talking from the inside of the character at the point, and not from top down. He's speaking out of the old person who feels, I'm gonna die and I will just disappear, you know? But this is not what we see as spectators or from above when we see the whole thing. Do you understand, Katharina, or?
No.
No. Hat aus den Augen der Figur gesprochen und nicht so wie wir eben von oben das angeschaut.
Ah, okay.
Die Figur erlebt in dem Moment, es wird von mir nichts bleiben, aber das ist von außen völlig anders.
Okay, yeah.
So what about old, what was helping me a lot was the term, there is an aura around something, and I have the feeling he gives an example for this aura when he talks about old, and he creates this mood of different aspects bringing a space of oldness and of King Lear, because I don't like people criticizing and saying, it's materialistic. It's always making things so small to have black and white. But the term aura helped me to say, okay, we're looking for something around a word, around a character, around even an object like a table. And I can connect to this in my work very much, because I always feel we are talking about antennas. How can we enter the sphere of aura, of possibilities around something?
So is aura then also the kind of colors we are actually putting on? Or when we actually define a character as well?
You can express the sense, what you have sensed, in colors. And the colors are then again the physical thing. And when you go to the example he gives, the chair, physical, it's not an electric chair. It's not a throne, it's just simply a kitchen chair. But you can see it for several moments. You can handle it for these moments also, like these, like a throne. And then you find also maybe when he speaks later about the gestures, who are handling this chair like a throne. And then this also becomes or get a kind of a color through the gestures. It's another term of the color to express what you see beyond this normal kitchen chair. And I think this is he comes in all of these lectures from different points to more or less the same theme. Then it is to awake the artistic sense that one as artist has to overcome, to take the things as they are simply. We have on one hand, and this is a function of our so-called lower ego, but he would like to, he gives all these examples, leads to that, how can I connect with my higher ego, with the artistic ego? How can I try to find out of my daily life situation another perspective? How can I connect myself, be an artist? And so we come also to this lecture, and he says, you have to walk as an artist, not as a normal person. We are artists, we are actors. We have, as we have heard in the first lecture, yeah, there is something. What he would like to steal from, and what he finds for himself, there is a need to create a culture. And who can? Only the artist. So that's all that comes together. So that's very, very nice. And he and this, he is just, so I think very deeply and nicely expressing also with his wonderful examples, the different layers of that what we can look beyond that what is given to us to understand that deeper. And I think you may feel a little bit remembered when we ask for our monologues, for the images beyond the text, from the character's perspective. So then everybody is creating something, what one can see beyond. And when you create the images behind the text, even then it starts that you see a deeper meaning in the words, what the character is speaking. What is beyond that the character is speaking these words. And this is one direction. And so maybe it's very nice also to ask yourself for your monologue character once, oh my God, what is this character representing in life? Which kind of a power, which kind of a, what happens in the soul, or what can happen in the soul? What kind of characteristic, seeing is not the right word, characteristic in the life of the human being is my character, my little monologue character, is representing, standing for. This her, this his little story. So, and I think this is a really nice artistic question to awake also with this question, our artist in ourselves. Yeah, okay, let's say we close it up with this text for today. And if we can take 5 minutes more, because the time is just now in the short before the end, this is just a question, are there questions we should focus in one of the sessions? And maybe you can speak them out, or maybe you can write them to me. And this has also to do, and please don't feel anything that I won't have any controlling, but we would be interested if you handle the funny exercises, if that is possible. Is there something what also is a question to you? Yeah, Renee, yeah.
I have a wish.
Yeah.
Maybe Darren can read the large keynote from the text from yesterday. Because I think there's a strong connection to the text today. And I'm very interested in connect the thoughts about archetypes and the social responsibility of actors.
Yeah, okay. How do you feel, everybody? Can we take this 7 minutes? Would you go with that? It's a nice suggestion. I can give you this text. Darren, do you have it in paper, or can you read that from the screen? Darren, are you still there?
My microphone was off, sorry.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay. Jörg, what's the page number, please?
That's the page number, let's look. 199.
That's it, it's at the end of the book, okay. I read it from my book because it's going in and out of focus.
Okay.
I think it has a social meaning, nothing personal or individual. If it does not serve a social purpose, it is a great illusion. Many actors think they come to the theatre for their own purposes, and it is like that almost everywhere. If you ask modern actors why they are on stage, they will answer, to act. This is a point of view which I cannot accept in my life at all. Another great mistake is in our life today. When we think of social work and social ways of thinking, we mean, or the majority of us mean, that first of all, it is absolutely political. And if it is not political, then it becomes very individual and very private, which is also quite wrong. real social consciousness means to do whatever work we do, having in our mind our usefulness to society. And this is the main thing which makes social problems in modern life so difficult. Many people make the mistake of paying less and less attention to their real profession and to the abilities which they are granted by God. They look more into the political life, and being amateurs, they spoil the politics under the impression that they do social work, and they spoil their gifts because they do not appreciate them in relation to social work. If we really try to get the idea of the theatre as a social factor, we should forget ourselves on the stage and think rather of the many people there before us. But we are frightened before the audience. We cringe before the audience. We smile and shout, but we are cringing before the audience instead of asking ourselves, what can we give our audience as part of our social life? This we can do if we realize that the audience is before us and not we before the audience. I'll read that again. This we can do if we realize that the audience is before us and not we before the audience. If we really consider for a moment that there is in our brain and heart and being this instrument, this organ which can receive the life from the social point of view in the real sense, then we will see immediately that the mission of the theatre can be, first of all, to show the bad and wrong sides of our social life. We must open our own eyes and help to open the eyes of the audience to see some things which now seem quite natural. For instance, so many people are being killed and burned and destroyed in concentration camps. We read about it in the newspaper quite quietly. It means nothing to us. We know it. The Jews are being oppressed. We read about it. We understand it. But if we consider ourselves as servants of the social life, we must speak from the stage concerning these things about the Jewish, the fascist, or the Spanish question. We must try to revive our human connection with these things and put them on the stage in an artistic form, and say again to the audience that these are the facts that are being read in the newspaper every day, but without feeling, because we have become accustomed to them. As artists, we have taken the mission to show them to the audience in an artistic way. Because of our artistic work, the audience will awaken and will understand these things anew. This is one of the theatre's missions.
Yeah, thank you, Renee. I think that's right. It is connecting some of that what we already have heard. And on the other hand, it gives also wonderful, fresh, new questions for further research. Because it's the question of, the artistic question of how in every moment. Yeah, thank you very much, Renee. So maybe if there is anything you would like to express, then we can go for that. Otherwise, I would like to say we had a nice meeting and we will continue tomorrow. Okay, yeah. If there's any question, please write me and let's have the golden hoop all together. You can do it also mentally if you like. And I change my funny background.
Thank you, Darren. Thank you for reading.
Yes, thank you. Beautiful.
Thank you. It's really such a privilege as well for me to just have the chance to read what he has to say every day. It's really nice.
Have a good night and have a good day, and see you tomorrow in this media, through that media maybe, and saying goodbye. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.
Good night.